Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami.
Tumba Jumden de Dijen Shewa Tajumba Yandangwa Zobe Sanje Rigwa Dan Shabzo Demba Dewara Sheva Jigden Kemba Kibu Dube Kalu Jorwa Lana Mewa Lada Menamje Dumba Sanje Jumden de Bejawa Shaja Tuba La Chaze Lo Chudo Jabzo Che Wo Dumba Jumden de Dijin Jeba Dan Jomba Yandaba Zobe Sanje Rigba Dan Shabsu Temba Tewara Sheba Jigden Kemba Kibu Dube Galo Jorwa Lana Meba Lada Menamje Tumba Sanje Jumden De Pejawa Shaja Duba La Jaze Lo Chodo Jabso Che Wo Tumba Jumden De Dijin Sheba Chajumba Yandaba Zobe Sanje Rigba Dan Jabso Demba Dewara Sheba Jigden Kemba Kibu Dube Kalo Jorwa Lana Meba Lada Menamje Domba Sanje Jumden De Pejawa Shaja Tuba La Chazelo Chudo Jazo Che Wo Sanje Chudan Sonji Chonama La Chanchu Padu Tani Jazo Che Dagi Chushe Jebe Sonamanje Dola Penje Sanje Drobara Sho Sanje Chudan Sonji Chonama La Chanju Bado Dane Jazo Che Dagi Chushe Jebe Sonamanje Dola Penje Sanje Drobara Sho Sanje Chudan Sonji Chonama La Chanju Bado Tane Jabso Che Dagi Chushe Jibe Sonamanje Drola Penje Sanje Drubara Sho. Good morning. How is everyone? Enjoying the summer? Have you been going out, visiting other places, looks like this is the season for people to vacation. I see on Facebook that many Tibetans, the local Tibetans, they have been traveling here and there, enjoying the summer. But I appreciate your being here instead of camping elsewhere. As we discussed in the last class, time is running out, time is short, and we are running out. Each second counts. So thank you for being here and also giving me the opportunity to share, to discuss Dharma. I always believe that the most important thing a Rinpoche can do is to share Dharma, to help others. There are many ways to help. I think I have discussed this in my very, very first class at Kachuling Center. I can help you. Let me rephrase. One way to help others is providing material things. I cannot do that. I don't have enough to really help everybody financially. Even if I were to afford to give each and everybody, let's say $100 million, how much that can benefit the person? It will be temporary. It will only help in this life. That also, there's no guarantee whether giving somebody 100 million can really make the person happy or creates more problem and unhappiness. Nobody can tell that. So there's no guarantee. Even if were to really benefit the other person, it is only limited to this life's welfare. It cannot help beyond this life. What can really help, what can really make a difference is if I'm able to share the Dharma. That's what Buddha himself said. Ngegi kyola tarbe lamtengi tawarangla rale shebrakis. So Buddha's main goal of Buddha's striving on the path to achieve enlightenment was really to help us. And eventually he achieved that. But then Buddha could not help everybody. We are the proof. We are still cycling in this existence, samsaric existence. Buddha has come and gone. Shakyamuni Buddha has come and gone. We are still stuck in samsara. So if there is a way Buddha can just uplift us, Buddha can just lift us from samsara, Buddha would have done that. The only way is by turning the wheel of Dharma, which Buddha did. Buddha taught all the time. So that is how we can help others. And I believe that as a Rinpoche, I have that responsibility. But if I were not given the opportunity, if I were not provided the opportunity, my wish will just remain an aspiration. But you people have provided me this great opportunity to share Dharma. I don't know much, but what I always try is to really share Dharma with the genuine intention to help, and I think that counts. So I once again would like to thank you all for giving this opportunity, and I also pray and hope that you learn something every time there is some takeaway from our classes, or else I would be wasting your precious time. So thank you, and now let's dive right into where we stopped last week. We were interrupted. So we were talking about transforming anger into path. So we talked about the situations where some conditions that can hinder our practice. So one is when we suddenly become wealthy, suddenly when we achieve some fame and wealth. If we are unable to apply antidote to this, then it will hinder our practice. We become arrogant. I think from our own experience, we know some people who in the early life, poor and all that, and suddenly they get into some wealth, and suddenly that person is no longer the same person. Suddenly there is a lot of inflation. Suddenly there's a lot of air. Suddenly that humility, that humbleness has disappeared. The person transforms into such an arrogant person. So that's what it means. It is so dangerous if we are not able to apply these techniques, these antidotes. We may lose everything. That's one instance. Another one is when conditions are so bad, when things seems to crumble, when there seems to have no bright or no light, no bright future. Everything is doom and gloom. At that time, if we fail to take such situation into the path, we may give up completely. We may get disheartened, and we may say that, oh, no point practicing Dharma. I have been practicing Dharma for so long, but look at me. Nothing seems to work, nothing seems to improve. But if we know how to transform that into the path, then of course we can utilize such unfortunate situation into our path, into Dharma practices. And instead of feeling disheartened and discouraged, we may get more inspiration. We may strive more. So that's why Gyalse Tokme Zangpo is giving these specific instances. Then there are another two instances or conditions or situations that can hinder our practice. The one was about anger, hatred. While the enemy of your own anger is unsubdued, though you may conquer external force, they will only increase. Therefore, with the militia of love and compassion, subdue your own mind. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. We have discussed this briefly in our last class. The importance of subduing the real enemy, which is the mental afflictions. In this case, our hatred, anger against other people. As long as we fail to do anything about our internal enemies, such as anger, we will never be able to conquer any enemies. The external enemies, the more you conquer, the more you create. So here it is highlighting that we need to first really destroy or eliminate our hatred and anger. We have discussed before the disadvantages, the detrimental consequences of anger. We get angry quite frequently, depending on how mindful we are. So when we get angry at another person, first of all, we lose our own peace of mind. Who is happy when they get angry? Nobody. Nobody seems to find joy in getting angry. And then out of anger, when we become angry, we have no real control over our speech and our action. Our mind is clouded by this intense anger. We say and do things that we will regret later. And how many relationships have been destroyed just in a spur of anger, in a moment of anger? How many killings have occurred in that instances of anger? That's conventionally, but from the Dharma perspective, we don't have clairvoyance. We don't know who are great beings. We don't know who are bodhisattvas. And we know the consequences of being angry at a bodhisattva. Just one instance of anger can destroy merits that have been accumulated in eons. Imagine that. First of all, for us, it is very hard to accumulate or cultivate merit. But then, anger can destroy countless merits that we have worked so hard over the eons. So that's why it is so important. And especially when we claim ourselves to be pursuing the path of Bodhisattva, which is to benefit other sentient beings, which is based on the notion that others have been our mother in the past. Others have been incredibly kind to us, and therefore we need to repay their kindness. And how can we repay others' kindness? By getting angry at them. That's not repaying. Reciprocal is when they are kind to us, we should be kind to them. That's the act of reciprocity, is it? So if we have no patience, then how are we going to help all the sentient beings who has variety of mental inclinations? Some people are so, what is the word? Some people are not, very dislikable. They can really irritate us. But then they have been kind to us. We are supposed to help them as well. We are supposed to strive for their welfare as well. When we take the Bodhisattva vow, we didn't say that I will only work towards kind people. We didn't say I will exclude those who are irritable and not likable person. We said that all sentient beings, no matter what their personality is, what their character is, whether we like or dislike, we pledge that. So it is so important for us to really work on improving our patience. When we have patience, we can see the results immediately, even in the family interactions, even interactions between your family members, between husband and wife, between partners, between parents and children. We know from experience. So here is saying the only way to conquer anger is through the army of love and compassion. That's what Buddha did. Rāngi jīgbū chewe du malu pamze yuji le kyule shenpa suishi tedra kyuji chanpe me. This is in one of the prayers to Buddha. Remember, historically, Shakyamuni Buddha, when he sat down to do his final meditation, the Maras, they don't want Buddha to be enlightened. So they try to distract him. They employed all kinds of tactics for Buddha to fail. They even tried to cause physical harm. But what did Buddha do? If Buddha were to really fight in the conventional sense, there is no match. There were like millions and millions of those Maras. But Buddha is only one person. No way Buddha can fight back. But Buddha has this special weapon, this special defense, which is love and compassion. So instead of getting angry, Buddha meditated on love and compassion. And because of that, they couldn't hurt Buddha. If Buddha were to get angry at them, Buddha wouldn't have achieved enlightenment. Buddha would have wasted all the effort that he has put in the past. So likewise, so what we are supposed to take away from all this is that that's the way to fight anger. Sometimes we tend to listen to these teachings, and then we somehow is like they are talking about bodhisattvas. That's what bodhisattvas do. It doesn't really apply to me. I don't have to do it. Then it really destroys, it really defies the whole point of going through these texts, isn't it? So let's say if these are very true, isn't it? When you are having an argument, if the other person is angry and saying things, and in response, if you get angry, what will happen? The situation will intensify. It will get worse. Whereas if you or if we are able to be mindful what is going on and then consciously practice patience, then it doesn't fuel the situation. It somehow quietens down. Even though the other person is so angry, the person will slowly calm down because there is no more fuel coming. In such situations, the other person may be very unreasonable, but you have to see whether is it beneficial. Does it help to really raise that point that the person is wrong? Remember, we have a saying, it is better to be kind than right. Sometimes we are driven by this righteousness. This is not right. They shouldn't be doing this. He shouldn't be doing this. She shouldn't be doing this. That's absolutely wrong. That's not right. But sometimes we have to take into account what the person is going through. And then instead of being righteous, be kind, be compassionate. So when we are having this kind of argument or quarrel, so when we see the other person is really angry and we also know that other person is on the wrong side. But sometimes it helps to accept that, and then later when the other person has calmed down, and then kind of point it out nicely. So main thing is to apply, to employ the army of love and compassion, and then slowly subdue the anger. It's possible, isn't it? For many people, they are unaware of their anger, how easily it arises, how detrimental it is for them and also for those who are around them. So first thing is we need to understand the negative consequences of anger. With that, then how can I go about reducing that? So main thing is mindfulness, and then introspective vigilance. So the first thing is we have to make this determination. We have to make this mindset that I will work towards my anger. But in order to do that, you need to accept, isn't it, that I have the anger issue. And anger is not good. Hatred is not good. So that's about transforming anger into the path. Let's now turn to transforming desire into the path. So there is another afflictive emotions that is very virulent, very destructive. It is not like anger. We don't see it as anger. This one comes in a disguise. Döbe yönden lenze chudanda chizam chejing seba pewa gyur kanla shenja kewe ngobunam tela pongwa gesela lins. So this is about transforming desire or attachment into the path. Attachment is really like the water beneath the surface. The water beneath the surface is still running, but we don't really notice that. And it is very pervasive. So for us, the troublemaker are mainly two: the hatred or anger, and the attachment. So many of our problems arise from these two. Aversion, let's use that's better. Aversion and attachment. Remember we talked about the three poisons? So these three, of course, at the root of these two is the ignorance. So that's why it is important for those who are pursuing the path to enlightenment. We need to tackle these two. So we have already discussed how to tackle the aversion. That is through the army of love and compassion. There is no other way. And now this about the attachment. Sensual pleasures are like salt water. The more you indulge, the more thirst increases. Abandon at once those things which breed clinging attachment. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. So how do we reduce attachment? We need to see the downsides. We need to see the flaws or the faults of attachment. So the first one, sensual pleasures are like salt water. The more we have, the more we want. We always desire all this material that gives us sensual pleasures. Nice forms, good music, good sound, good smell, fragrance, tactile, food. Sometimes people have no difficulty driving for 1 hour just to eat. In Malaysia, it's very popular. Oh, there's this restaurant. Oh, there's really nice food. So let's go there. So when it comes to all this, to fulfill our desire for these sensual pleasures, we have no difficulty putting up with difficulty. We have no difficulty facing all the challenges. We can put effort. We can drive hours just to eat a bowl of noodle. But are these really worth pursuing? So here is saying that no point. The more we indulge, the more we crave. I always use this example. When you are freshly out of, college, and you have been living with your parents and you want to get out. At that time, you don't have a car. So finally, when you get a second-hand car, you are so satisfied, so happy. Even though it's an old car, you feel what is called over the moon. So happy. But as the time passes, then you started to see flaws in that. Dissatisfaction arises. Oh, this car doesn't work this way, it's too small, makes noise. You're already eyeing another one. This goes on. When you get another car, eyeing another car. Same with house, same with money. First we think that, I will be happy if I get a salary of, let's say, 3,000 a month. And then when you are with that, this is not enough. I would be happier if I get 5,000, 6,000, 10,000. And then eventually, even if you get 50,000, 100,000, we crave for more. So this is the problem with all these worldly pleasures or sensual pleasures. It is like drinking salty water. The more we drink, thirstier we become. So when these cravings arise, we should always look at the downsides, look at its flaws. So that will help us. It says, Dwebe yunde nyanyin noba mang jikje tao tu chaje nyomong che redi soda tudong lomar chungs. This is these sensual pleasures, those worldly pleasures, those that we crave, such as, I don't know, house, money, the material wealth, all this, what happens is, it will give us more suffering. It is actually a source of suffering. Even though we mistakenly think that these are the source of happiness, but when we really think carefully, when we really analyze and scrutinize this, it is really a source of problem. So let's say if you have lots of money, there's always fear of being robbed, being kidnapped. Remember, kidnapping happens to those rich people or those who have power. Children of rich people get kidnapped. Why? Because they have money. And all those, what do you call that, thief or robber, or even now online kind of these stealings, who do they target? They are not interested to go after poor people. They are always targeting rich people, wealthy people. So you see, you have this extra anxiety and fear. That's why it says, Tala sobe jigwa mang jigje tadu chaje nyumungche. And then because you are into this, when you have strong desire for money and wealth and all this, we will end up engaging in all kinds of things, unethical livelihood. I think what we see in America now, some TV shows, just for their rating and for money purpose, they will say all kinds of things. No consideration for others' life. They will just lie so that they can make money. So that's all because of this push to make money. The person may get rich, but what kind of karma they are creating? There's a lot of misinformation going on. Why? For personal gain, for status, for wealth. So that's why it says, nyomong che. So therefore, all this, the pursuit of these sensual pleasures or worldly pleasure is like trying to lick honey on a very sharp blade of sword. Yeah, it tastes good, but if you try to really lick that, it may cut you. So the antidote for that is nonam kunji nane cho sheba rab cho labar lami tembe sums. So the best way to tackle that is by cultivating what is called containment. I have enough. When you go to a mall, you see nice things, but you have to ask yourself, do I really need that? Some people, I was told that they have walk-in shoe room. You have 100 pairs of shoes. You can actually open a shop, shoe shop. But do you really need 100 pairs? You don't need. So there is something, there is a difference between necessity and want, isn't it? We need water, we need to drink water, but do we need to drink juice? Maybe not. So when we are, when the craving arises, it is good to always question, do I really need that? Another reason why this is a source of problem is when you have all these desires, desire has no limit. And then because of the, advertisements, all these promotions, there's always something else better than the one that you have. Let's look at iPhones. I'm using iPhone 8, that was also given to me. That works perfectly for me. I don't know how much difference is between this latest iPhone, is it 12 or 11? Like people like me, I just need to be able to text, receive call, or do FaceTime, all those video calls, check emails. So that, I think, the earlier version of iPhone can do that. There's no real need to upgrade, isn't it? But when we do that, what happens is nobody gives you free. You don't get it free. You have to pay for it. And then, how do you get the money? Either you work yourself to death to pay all those bills, or you engage in something, I don't know, unethical. So there is this danger. That's why I was told, I'm not sure whether it's true or not, in Japan, suicide rate is so high. And people work for long hours. One reason is that the technology is so advanced that on the one hand, technology is so advanced. On the other hand, there is this competition, that there is this pressure that you have to keep up with the Jones, is it? So when the new TV comes, a flat TV comes, you are kind of pressured to get that because everybody is getting that. And you look so out, lacking behind. But all this you have to pay. The latest versions are always expensive. So that's why you have to slave yourself to work, to pay for all this. For what? So that's how we can bring our own experience. I think you have more experiences than I do. So bring all those experiences, your own experiences, and then apply to reduce these cravings. So it's abandon at once those things which breed clinging attachment. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. That's what one who is pursuing the Bodhisattva's path is supposed to do. So there was, I think, so attachment, so there's a question, I think, difference between attachment and true compassion. So compassion is other-oriented. Your concern is for others' welfare. You care for the other person's welfare. You perceive the other's suffering, and your concern is solely focused on eliminating that suffering. So it's other-oriented. Whereas attachment is mostly self-oriented. It is all about me. There is this self-interest, there's selfish attitude involved. So sometimes we think, yeah, it is very difficult, especially that question, how can we love someone without attachment? That's very difficult to do. But if I think, I may be completely wrong, but I think that if your love is really, concern for the other's interests, if there is no iota, not a teeny-weeny bits of self-interest, then I think it is a true love. Most of our love there is this expectation. And when the other person does not respond favorably, we get angry. I don't want to love him anymore. That shows that there is this self-interest there. But if we are able to do unconditionally, that is the word, isn't it? Unconditionally. No matter whether the person gives back the love or not, whether the person appreciates or not, whether the person even knows or sees or acknowledges my help or my love or not, I will still love the person. I will still care for the person. I think that is genuine love. So now up to here is about transforming these various challenging situations into the path. As I mentioned earlier, this is so important for us because we are in samsara. In samsara, sufferings and challenges are part and parcel of our existence. So we are bound to encounter various challenges. These are inevitable challenges. Sooner or later, one way or another, we will experience. So at that time, if we are unable to adopt optimistic or a favorable or a conducive attitude, then we won't be able to get up. So there is this strong correlation between depression and the way we think. So I think this is in positive psychology. So positive psychology started by Martin Seligman. And why I like this, why I see parallel in positive psychology is that positive psychology is saying that it is not enough just to eliminate the negatives. So psychology is mainly looking at all the the shortcomings of human being, the depression, all kinds of mental disorders, and then they try to repair that damage. Whereas positive psychology is saying that that is only a half-baked. So positive, psychology should be not only about repairing the damage or what you call focusing on the negative, but also what do you call increase or also how to put it, and also to shall I say cultivate the positivity, the positive side of human being, like all that quality. We all have qualities. So on the one hand, yes, you can repair the damage. You can focus on all those shortcomings and then try to fix it. But on the other hand, to also increase, work towards, study the positive sides of human being and find a way to increase that. Let me just look at this one. I have something here. So it says, not just eliminate the negative, but to identify and build the strength. So that's the positive. What is positive psychology about? So you see, we see this parallel from the Dharma point. We said yes, we have to abandon the negative karma. We have to abandon non-virtue. But we don't just stop there. We said you also have to cultivate virtue. So you make this go down and make this come up. That's how we rise. So in positive psychology, founded by Martin Seligman. So before he introduced this positive psychology, he was part of this group who studied this helplessness. And they learned that, so I'm just summarizing. So I won't go into detail. So the common theme amongst, let's say, 100 people, but there are certain people who have learned helplessness. So the very common mindset amongst those who have developed helplessness is the attitude that very pessimistic attitude that everything sees in a gloom and doom. I am doomed. I'm a loser. I will fail all the time. There is nothing I can do, can change the things. And that is also one of the characteristics of people who develop depression. So why I bring this here is the importance of finding a way to interpret these challenging situations. Remember earlier we talked about various situations. When you befall with sickness, misfortune, all this. So if we don't have the optimistic way of interpreting the situation, then there is this high risk of developing depression. So what I'm saying here is that what in the Dharma text says, there is scientific evidence. Of course, we don't need the Dharma to be supported by scientific evidence, but I'm saying that there are evidence. So they did all these experiments and they found that there is a very strong relationship how we think, and how we develop depression. Of course, the Aaron Beck's model of depression is these three things. Is a cognitive theory. It's like nobody loves me, the whole world hates me, I am hopeless, no point in living. That's how it arises. So here, from now onwards, it's about until now, we talk about the conventional bodhicitta. Now, here onwards, or this particular chapter is about how to develop, how to practice ultimate bodhicitta. So ultimate bodhicitta, even though there is the name, there is the term bodhicitta, it is actually the wisdom realizing emptiness. So the whole purpose of bodhicitta is to achieve enlightenment so that we can liberate other sentient beings. Right? So, without developing the ultimate bodhicitta, there is no way we can attain enlightenment. What is the... Remember in the three principal aspects of the path, Nilu tobe sherab midena nijun chanju semla kom chejang korwe zawa chuzu mishibe tijirtende tobe tabla bes. No matter how advanced we have developed renunciation or bodhicitta, as long as we are unable to develop the wisdom realizing emptiness, we won't be able to eradicate the root of samsara. Thereby, we will remain stuck in samsara. So that's why it says that we need to cultivate the understanding of dependent origination. So let me first read the Tibetan one. Chedar nawa dida rangi semnyi dwene trebe tadan tel. Tinyi shene sungzin semanam yila mechi kese laklen yins. Whatever appears is your own mind. Your mind from the start was free from fabricated extremes. Understanding this, do not take to mind inherent signs of subject and object. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. Remember, I quoted earlier from Lama Tsongkhapa's one, Tijir Tende Tobe Tablabe. So therefore, we need to cultivate the understanding of interdependence. Instead of saying we need to cultivate the understanding of emptiness, Lama Tsongkhapa says we need to cultivate the understanding of interdependence. So this has a very significant meaning, because the understanding of interdependent is the key to understanding the concept of emptiness. So when I won't go into detail, we have discussed this before in Heart Sutra and even in, I think, where was that? There in the Wheel of Sharp Weapon. And I think you know more than I do. So just recap. So when things to us, whatever appears is in your own mind. To us, when we perceive things, to us things appear as if they have their own inherent nature, as if things exist from their own side. It hardly occurs to us that things appear because of our projection, our mind's projection. So what we are negating here is something that is independent, that is solid there, which is free from depending on anything else. Causes and condition, its parts, its labeling. To us, when we see a thing, for example, like the computer or the gadget that you are using right now, when you look at the iPad, to us it appears that iPad has nothing to do with our projection, nothing to do with our mind, nothing to do with the label that we give to this specific collection of things. So that kind of entity is very independent, which is which is not dependent on anything. So when we understand that things are dependent origination, it is dependent on causes and condition, it's dependent on its parts, it's dependent on the mind that is imputing, then this will destroy this whole notion that there is something independently existing. That notion dissipates, vanishes. Kanji tenju, here, where is that? Kanshi kenle keba tema ke, tela kebe ranshin yomayins. Whatever comes to being due to conditions, due to cause and condition, there is no inherent arising, there is no inherent entity. Kanshi kenle keba tema tela kebe ranshin yomay. Kenla rale kangde tongbarshe. So whatever exists or comes to being due to the interdependence, that is the emptiness. So that's why in the three principal aspects of the path, it says we need to cultivate understanding of interdependence. When we understand clearly that everything is interdependent, then we understand the concept of emptiness. Oh, there is no such intrinsic entity. Everything come into being because of depending on something else. So that's what I say. Whatever appears is your own mind. There is nothing solid there. There is nothing independent there. It is actually the projection of our own mind. What appears is your own mind. Then the question is, if the object of the mind are empty of inherent existence, but then is the mind itself is inherently existence. So it's your mind from the start was free from fabricated esteems. Even that mind that perceives, that cognizes things, they themselves are also they also do not exist inherently. Yeah, they are all also devoid of inherent existence. Your mind from the start was free from fabricated esteems. So mind, like my mind, if there is an inherently existing mind, if there is a solid mind, then if we are to dissect the mind, and if we look for it, we're supposed to, we should be able to pinpoint to one particular mind, one particular thing, and say this is mind. But it's not. When we say mind, it is made from moments of continuum of mind. Like when we say mind, is it yesterday's mind? Is it this morning's mind? Is it the mind right now? From right mind now? Also there are many. So which is the one? We cannot pinpoint that. So because of that, it says that it is mind is also labeled to this continuum of consciousness. So they are also free from fabricated extremes. There is no inherent existence. They are devoid of inherent existence. Understanding this, do not take into mind inherent signs of subject and object. This is the practice of Buddha. So basically saying that see everything in the nature of emptiness. Everything, whatever appears, even though it appears to us as if they have their own inherent nature, but there is no such thing. So this is about what is called the Nyamshatu today. So remember when we meditate on emptiness, so there is this Nyamsha is you are in the actual meditation. They call this equipoise, space-like equipoise. So why they call it space-like equipoise is when you are in deep meditation on emptiness, nothing appears. It is like the autumn sky. It's empty because you have already dissolved all that manifestations, conventional manifestations. So that's why it's called space-like, nothing. So this is how to train or how to meditate or how to practice space-like equipoise in meditation. So the next one is after meditation, what we are supposed to do. In the meditation, you are fully focused on the empty nature of things. No conventional manifestation or fabrications appears. Now when we are out of that equipoise, when we are out of that meditation session, then all these conventional things comes to our mind or our eyes. Our eyes meet with things, and then we see all that manifestation, we see all that fabrication. So how should we go about? Where is the one? Yidu one way, Yudang Teba na. Is this the one? Okay. So here, so after post-meditation, so now that you have already perceived emptiness, so when you are out of the meditations, out of the meditation sessions, when things come to, when we encounter conventional things, so what are we supposed to do? So here it is about, first one is Yudongwe is about countering the attachment or the desire or the craving by employing the understanding of emptiness. So giving up attachment by seeing the emptiness. In other words, seeing the object of attachment as empty nature, as empty or devoid of inherent existence. So this one, remember we talked a little bit about the three poisons. So all the problems, let's say most of our problems are caused primarily by aversion and attachment. But these two, the root of these two is the ignorance. Remember in the 12 links, the first one is the ignorance. So ignorance here is not seeing the reality of things, especially I. So we have the misconception that there is something solid and autonomous I. Because of that notion, we develop this attachment to this I, so-called I. And because of that attachment, so when people are kind to us, when people help us, we develop attachment. When people are nasty and when people harm us, we develop aversion. And depending on attachment and aversion, we engage in all kinds of negative karma. So that's how we plant the seeds. That's how we create the causes to be in the samsara. That's how we create karma. So from this we can see the importance of cutting, eradicating the root cause. So that's why it is here is about upon realizing the emptiness. Now when you encounter all this desire and attachment, especially the object of attachment, remember that even though they appear as if they have the real entity, true entity, but there is none. So because of that, no need to be so attached to it. No need to chase after them. One of the great scholars from Losiling, I think he related a story, and I thought that this is so true. So there was this story, I don't know, this is a made-up story or this, but this illustrates the point. So there was a father with 3 sons. So they are farmers, and the father has worked hard, and the sons have been quite nice to the father. And before long, the father kind of divided the property between his 3 sons. And once that was done, the sons slowly, started to kind of ignore him. No longer that love and affection. And father is already in his old age, and the sons are not really caring for the father. So the father's friend was so hurt, and he decided to do something about it. So what he did was, in front of this youngest son who lives with the father, so he brought back a box with a huge lock. And then in front of the son, he said, okay, now I'm returning this to you. Remember, you told me that when you are old and when you are in difficult situation, you said to bring it back. Remember, you asked me to keep this for you. And here are your things, and I'm going to hand over the keys to you, and then he gave the keys to the father. When the son, the youngest son, saw this, to him like, oh, my father has more wealth, so I better behave well. So he started to treat his father better. So when the other sons saw the change in his behavior, they became curious. And they eventually learned that his friend has brought back the box of wealth back to the father. And that's why the youngest son has a change of heart. So the other sons also became nicer to the father. They all took good care of him, and he was well looked after. And when the father died, when they opened the box, what they found inside was all a box full of stones. So they were deceived. They thought that they would find gold and silver in that box. And for that reason, they have served the father. They treated the father. They worked hard. But in the end, it turned out to be stones, rocks. So this is exactly what we all have been doing. We are deceived that there is independent I, there is this autonomous I, and for that purpose, to serve that, we work so hard, we make enemies, we fight, we destroy relationships, we engage in negative karma, we get angry, we get jealousy, we get jealous. All kinds of mental afflictions just for this independent I. In reality, there is no such thing. It is merely a projection or merely a label given to the aggregation of the forms. So when we encounter any desirable objects, we have to remind ourselves that whatever I see, it is like the rainbow. The rainbow, it looks so attractive, it's so pretty. But when you go and grab it, there is nothing. That's why it's so funny that when a rainbow appears, another person who lives in completely, let's say in the east side, they say, oh, the rainbow formed over my house. And then there's another person who lives in another area, says, oh, the rainbow formed over my house. So you cannot chase after the rainbow. There's nothing there. So it's when you encounter attractive objects, though they seem beautiful, like a rainbow in the summer, don't regard them as real. Real means here that intrinsic nature. And give up attachment. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. But of course, we must understand that when we say there is no inherent existence, it doesn't mean that that things don't exist. Things do exist. It's so important. The one measure that we understand the concept of emptiness is that the more you see the conventional thing, it should, complement our understanding of the empty nature. The more we understand the empty nature of the thing, it should complement our understanding of the conventional things. Things do exist, but exist conventionally. All these two understandings should complement each other. But for many people, when they understand about emptiness, then to them it's like, oh, that means there's no conventionality. We should not give much importance and value to conventional things. Yes, there is karma. You may realize the emptiness of karma. But if you say that, oh, there's no karma, I can do negative karma, I can engage in killing and stealing, all this, first of all, police will come after you. You will be jailed. Secondly, there are consequences, karmic consequences. So that's important. When you encounter attractive objects, though they seem beautiful, like a rainbow in the summer, don't regard them as real and give up attachment. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. I am trying to finish another one. Or is there more? Okay, there's one more, and then we'll stop here. Sorry, I am beyond the time. All forms of sufferings, maybe we leave this, leave this. We stop here, and then we continue in next class. Let's dedicate our merits. Tagi jini sabe gewa de tenda dowa kunla kangpenda kebara chuzun losan tagba yi tembe nyingbu ringdu seche sho. Jambe bawe chedara kemba da kundu sambu teya teshendu teda kungi jesu taloj gewa deda tamje rabdu ngo tezon shekbe gewa tamje ji ngowa kangla chodo ngaba de dagi kewe sawan digwenya zangbo chuchi rabdu ngo waragis. Thank you.